Okay, guys. So what we're going to do before we move forward onto the current lab is we're going to look back at the past lab because we're essentially using the same techniques. We're going to use the same equipment and the same techniques to produce new displacement time and velocity time graphs in order to see they're going to look very different. And so I just want to remind you what those look like, and I want to remind you what our categories are going to be for our data table. So these are the same columns. So if you want to jot that down in your notebook, you're going to be collecting the raw data from the next video. So our columns are going to be time in seconds. We're going to measure the displacement in centimeters. We'll measure the two dot distance. That's also going to be in centimeters. And we're going to measure the velocity. Now, the two dot distance will give us the velocity. The only thing that the two dot distance wouldn't tell us is the direction. But we're not really concerned about that at this point. We really only want to know what the magnitude of the number is. So, because the vehicle is traveling in the same direction, it's not really a big concern. So these are the four columns at the top of your headings. And we are going to do something a little bit different with the time, though. And the reason is because these toy vehicles don't accelerate for very long. And so in order to increase the number of data points, we're going to count every 3 dots instead of every 6 dots. And so the difference with that is that it's going to say 0.00, and then the next one will be 0.05, then 0.1, then 0.15, then 0.225, and I think we're going to go up to 0.4. So you could fill those in right now if you want to, but don't fill in these same numbers, okay? We're not using the same increment of time. We're gonna make a little bit smaller unit of time to just look a little bit more closely at the data. Since we're not gonna have a lot to look at, we really wanna scrutinize that data a little bit more closely. So those are our column headings. You're gonna make sure that you record those before we move on to start collecting the data.